And I don't like to keep loaves of bread around because I have a tendency to eat the whole loaf, if you, if you know what I'm talking about. One of my dad's favorite dishes was tuna melt. He was a diner kid growing up. His parents were both diner people. My grandfather was a short order cook and my grandmother was a housewife. So my dad just kind of grew up with a lot of diner food. So tuna melts was like his jam. And I figured I'd want to try to do something that's like a little fancy date night or a little self-care version. Something that's super fancy looking, but actually surprisingly easy to do is puff pastry. And puff pastry is one of these things. This, I bought at Target. It's like, this has two sheets inside, and I think it was like $5. It was really, really affordable. And hands down, this is better than that Pillsbury croissant in the dough in the roll that you pop. And like, this isn't very expensive, and it can make your stuff look really, really fancy. So if you don't have it at your local Target, your local supermarket should have it in their frozen sections. That's where I found this one by Target. And it comes out in this case, it's 2 rolled sheets. Some of them only have 1. And like I said, they're in the frozen section, so you have to defrost them, but you don't want to defrost them until they're completely warm. In fact, I probably shouldn't touch this because my hands are warm. You want to defrost this in the fridge because the point of a puff pastry is a lot like croissants. It's a layered dough, so it's like pastry, butter, pastry, butter, pastry, butter. And there's like a whole bunch of layers of that. And if you keep it cold, then when you pop in the oven, the minute the butter melts, it creates steam, and that's how you get the puff. So if you defrost this and leave this out on your counter until the whole thing just gets super mushy, it's not gonna rise as well. So just a trick to keep in mind. So I'm gonna unroll this cold puff pastry dough, and I'm only going to be using half of it for today. And the other half I'm gonna just pop back in the fridge, and I can use it for something else that I'm sure that I will do on this channel. So let's see. Cut this in half, which is just the right size for this 1/4 sheet baking sheet. Fold this in half. I'm gonna roll this back up. You don't necessarily have to roll it back up. I just do because it's, seems like it's what I should be doing. And I'm gonna put this back in the fridge. Okay, so for this baking sheet, you can kind of make sure that you don't really want to manhandle it again too much. And then what you're going to do is you're going to score where you kind of want your crust to go. And then what will happen is those edges will totally puff up while the inside gets the filling. So, speaking of the filling, we are going to, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going to get a bowl, and you're going to have a spoonful of creme fraiche. If you don't have creme fraiche, you could totally use sour cream. Usually I've been able to find the creme fraiche in most supermarkets, like over where the cheeses are, if there's like a cheese display. So a spoonful of that, half a spoonful, look, measurements, half a spoonful of Dijon mustard. In this case, obviously Grey Poupon, but it could be whatever Dijon mustard you have on hand. And you can watch me mix this together while my boobs are jiggling because, you know, it's food and entertainment. Okay, so once you've got that, just gonna put that right onto the pastry. And you're not really gonna go all the way to the edge. You're just gonna stay within that scored line that you made. Puff pastry is so versatile because it's just a crust. So, you know, if you want to make your own savory hot pockets and do like tomato sauce, like pizza sauce and like cheese and pepperoni, and just have like a really fancy pants croissant type dough pizza, you could totally do that. You can do like a Philly cheesesteak. There's so many different ways of doing this. So, okay, once you've done that, you are going to flake. This is one of those pouches of tuna, and I'm only going to use half. Oop. If I'm not making a mess, that is. Put that in here because I'm one of those people where it has to be clean. Otherwise, I'm not happy. And the amount of whatever meat you use, in my case, I'm doing tuna today, but if you do pepperoni or you do like, you know, Philly cheesesteak Philly, you can add however much you'd like. Obviously, I am spilling this all over the place because I have this cutting board in the way, but I will explain what that's for in a minute. And then I'm going to take a tomato. And then you're just going to make slices that you are then going to put on top. I tend to eat the ends. And this is as thick or as thin a slice as you would like. I kind of like it a little bit on the meatier side because I love tomatoes. And that goes again right on top. And this is kind of where I think it's like a tuna melt. Let me move everything out of the way. Is on top of this, you're going to put some capers. Not a whole lot, because capers are salty, so you don't, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. Up until now, you know, until you actually cook this, it's kind of like, what do they call it? A niçoise salad, because it's got like a mayo type base, and it's got tomatoes and capers, and but this is like a baked version. And on top of that, whatever your favorite cheese is. So in my case, I'm using an Italian blend cheese, that is, my assumption is that it's light in flavor, so it won't overpower the tomatoes. But if you really want to go for that diner feel, you can totally add like cheddar cheese, or you can add this kind of cheese and cheddar cheese. You can just, possibilities are endless. You know, if you like grilled cheese sandwiches that have tomato, you can kind of do that with this as well. Just leave the tuna out, you know, just do like a veggie version. And honestly, that is it. It's a layered tart, but it's kind of the easy way out by buying a puff pastry at the store instead of like trying to make it from scratch, especially if you're cooking for yourself or you plus one other person. Like going through that whole, like if you want to tackle making like a croissant or a puff pastry dough, all the more power to you. To me, it's a little labor intensive, especially for just one person. This goes into the oven, or in my case today, because it's just so hot and I don't want to have the oven on all day, or even for 10 minutes, I'm going to actually use the toaster oven and set that to 400 degrees. And once that is set, you're going to put this in the oven for I think like 15 minutes, but keep an eye on it. You know, each oven is different, each toaster oven is different, and just make sure that, you know, you're keeping an eye of probably around the 10, you're probably fine until like the 10-minute mark. But by like 12-15 minutes, you should probably pop back into the kitchen and take a look at your viewing window and see what it looks like. So let me pop this in, and I will be back in about 15 minutes. This was a really super easy and super quick recipe, but I swear to God, you make this at home, your friends will be like, your friends or your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, will look at it and go, oh my God, super fancy. So let me go put that in there and I will be right back. This looks amazing. So I'm going to just transfer, it's warm, straight from the baking tray right to a little serving plate or serving tray or plate or however you want to do it. And man, this looks so amazing. It smells absolutely delicious. I have to let this cool a little bit. So I'm gonna have a little bit of my ginger. I have this ginger cinnamon iced tea that I make. It's really good. And this is like piping hot. It's right out of the oven, but I mean, ooh. The nice thing about these puff pastries is that there's obviously so much butter in between all the layers that you could use a sheet of parchment paper in the oven on top of your baking sheet, but you don't necessarily have to. It will slide right off unless you burn it. So if you're one of those people who might be using like an older baking sheet or are a little bit worried about burning and getting things stuck to their baking sheet because it's an older baking sheet, put like, you know, a sheet of parchment paper or foil or something before you put on the puff pastry base. But I haven't had to use it. But let's see. This whole like, I want to eat this, but I know it's gonna be so hot. Crunch. If you don't mind making a giant mess, you can just, you know, pop this whole thing in your mouth and go to town. But I'm going to I don't know if you can see the steam coming off. Anyway, I'm gonna try this. Hot. Oh, they're so good. It's like a combination of all my favorite things. I like that kind of sour creamy, kind of light creamy flavor. I love tuna. Tuna is, whether it's raw on sashimi or it's like in a tuna sandwich or something like this. Probably because my dad liked it so much. Oh God, so good. Okay, this is my light lunch for today. I hope you had an amazing time just watching me put something really quick together. I hope you have an amazing rest of this week. And I will see you next time.